Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really try to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights that matter. Today we're plunging into a story that's, well, it's as exhilarating as it is challenging a real saga from the global esports scene, specifically in Valorant. We're talking about global esports, the trailblazing Indian organization. They've truly been a beacon of hope, ambition for an entire region. But their journey has also served as a stark, often pretty brutal, reminder of the incredible challenges that come with competing at the absolute highest international level. It's this unique blend of excitement, struggle, global aspiration. We're going to unpack every layer of it for you.
Exactly. And our mission today really is to go beyond just the headlines and extract those crucial insights from global esports journey. This isn't just about, tallying wins and losses. It's about understanding why their path has been so uniquely significant, especially for the broader esports landscape, and particularly for a burgeoning region like South Asia. Their story offers a demanding reality check on what it truly takes to build and sustain success on that global stage. And it fundamentally redefines how we think about representation itself in competitive gaming. We'll look at the specific obstacles they faced, the resilience they showed, and the enduring impact they've had, even without those championship titles.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. At what was, truly a monumental entry onto the global stage. Cast your mind back to when Riot Games, the creators of Valorant, decided to introduce their franchise league system. This was a total game changer, an exclusive invite-only tier for the absolute elite teams globally. Designed for long-term stability, consistent top-tier competition, it basically created a new elevated ecosystem. And amidst all that intense competition, that scramble for a coveted spot, one name emerged from India to make history. So for you, the listener, what exactly was so incredibly monumental about global esports securing a place in this new league?
Well, what really stands out here is just the sheer weight of expectation and the historical significance. Global Esports wasn't just another team getting a slot. They were the first, and crucially, the only Indian organization to secure a spot in the VCT Pacific League. This wasn't merely a win for their org, it was a profound, symbolic moment for an entire region, South Asia. For the very first time, this massive, passionate gaming community had direct, undeniable representation among Asia's elite. It put them squarely on the global esports map in a way they'd never experienced before in a Tier 1 esport. Think about the hundreds of millions of people for whom this suddenly became their team, right? The region being represented. That's immense pressure and an incredible honor.
Oh, the buzz was just incredible. You could almost feel it, especially across social media, online communities. The hopes were sky high, almost tangible. Fans from India, the whole South Asian diaspora, had their hopes pinned on GE to showcase South Asian talent on a global stage. It wasn't just about this team doing well. It was about proving, beyond doubt, that the region had the skill, the strategic intelligence, the fire to stand shoulder to shoulder with the best. This was really seen as a chance to open doors for future generations of players, coaches, orgs from India, validating a scene that was maybe nascent, but so vibrant.
Precisely. It was more than just a statement. It felt like a promise, didn't it? A promise of potential finally being realized. But as anyone familiar with top-level esports knows, the journey to the top is rarely smooth, especially when you're pioneering the path for a whole region that's still building its foundational infrastructure in that global competitive setting. The vision was grand, absolutely, but the reality of executing it, that would prove incredibly complex.
Which brings us perfectly to their debut season in 2023. And let me tell you, that year was anything but smooth. That's putting it mildly. Global Esports came out swinging, no doubt about it. Announced an incredibly ambitious international roster. They brought together beloved Indian fan favorites, like the iconic duelist Skarasi, the versatile controller Lightning Fast, alongside really talented players from Australia and South Korea. On paper, it sounded like a dream team, didn't it? A true melting pot of global talent, each bringing unique strengths, perspectives. The idea was to blend that regional flair with international experience.
And that ambition, while you have to applaud it, immediately threw up some significant challenges. You're trying to integrate players from really diverse cultural backgrounds, different communication styles, game philosophies, even preferred languages sometimes. Building that crucial instant synergy in a fast-paced tactical shooter like Valorant, that's already immensely difficult with a homogenous roster.
Right.
Now add that layer of international communication barriers. But then, right before the season properly kicked off, things got even tougher. Critical preseason visa issues. Both Grassi and Lightning Fast, two of their big Indian stars, couldn't even make it to Seoul for the opening weeks of the VCT Pacific League.
Yeah.
And that raises a huge question for any team, let alone a new one. How did starting without two cornerstone players, especially two carrying so much regional hope, impact their ability to perform, to integrate, to even establish a strategy? It essentially meant they were fighting with one hand tied behind their back, trying to build a new team mid-flight, basically.
It really put them on the back foot immediately. That's a disadvantage that's incredibly hard to recover from in such a competitive league. By the time those players could finally join the team, GE had already fallen behind in the standings.
Yeah.
And while they definitely showed flashes of brilliance throughout the season, those incredible close maps where they pushed giants to the brink or those surprise upset
At
wins,
least there were moments.
there were. But they just couldn't find that all-important consistency. They'd have these amazing high-octane moments, individual skill shining through, but then struggle to string those performances together
Oh,
across a whole series or through the season. They were missing that cohesive tactical identity.
and that inconsistency was particularly punishing in a league absolutely stacked with established Pacific powerhouses like DRX, PaperX, and T1. These aren't just good teams, they're orgs with deep-seated synergy, years playing together, proven strategies, incredible team chemistry built over multiple seasons sometimes.
Right.
So global esports, still grappling with their own internal cohesion, found themselves struggling to close out crucial rounds, close out entire games against these titans. The individual plays might have been spectacular at times, but the overarching team coordination, executing under pressure in those key moments, it just wasn't there consistently enough. So ultimately, despite those promising flashes, the dream of playoffs slipped away in their very first year. It really highlighted the brutal reality of that competitive landscape.
So after a tough, challenging debut in 2023, you'd naturally think, okay, 2024 brings a fresh start, right? A chance to learn, build something more stable. Global esports certainly try to rebuild, significant roster changes, even more international talent brought in, seemingly trying to find that elusive winning combination. So for you, our listener, the burning question is, did this new approach work? Did they finally find their stride and climb the standings?
Unfortunately, no. The issues persisted, and you could argue they even deepened in some ways. What's truly fascinating here, I think, is the stark contrast with other successful teams in VCT Pacific. You look at orgs like Genji, PaperX, they thrived by meticulously keeping their core rosters intact, nurturing talent, growing together over time, building that deep understanding of each other's playstyles, the calls.
Yeah, that chemistry.
Exactly, that chemistry. Meanwhile, global esports was constantly searching for the right formula. It was characterized by swapping roles and lineups mid-season, almost this perpetual state of experimentation. They were kind of in reset mode year after year, which makes it incredibly difficult to build long-term synergy, tactical muscle memory, the deep trust that championship teams rely on. Imagine trying to run a complex play in basketball when you're constantly changing half your players. It's nearly impossible, right?
Yeah.
Without a stable five to truly gel, they couldn't build that foundational consistency needed to contend. And, well, once again, they ended the year without a playoff appearance, despite their best efforts.
That's such a tough pattern to break.
Right.
It really speaks volumes about the challenges. And just when you might think, okay, surely they've learned, surely they'll finally get it right, 2025 rolls around,
Yeah.
and yet again, history repeated itself. They announced new signings, including a promising player, Patrick WHO. Intended to refresh the squad, maybe finally find that winning combo, that stability, felt like another shot at redemption. But then, what happened next?
The recurring problem. That logistical nightmare, it just reared its head again. More visa complications. Patrick WHO, one of their key new additions, couldn't make it to Seoul in time for the crucial kickoff tournament and the initial matches of Stage 1.
Oh, not again.
Exactly. So it forced global esports to rely on a stand-in Darion for those initial vital matches. And think about the ripple effect that has. It's not just the immediate game plan, forcing tactical adjustments on the fly. It impacts their whole preparation schedule, their team cohesion, even the mental state of the players facing uncertainty yet again. And as the VCT Pacific League only grew more competitive, every team sharpening their edges, this kind of fundamental disruption just meant the gap between GE and the top widened even further. So once more, fans watched a team that never really got to field its full intended roster, impacting their ability to compete at their peak. And consequently, another season passed without playoffs. It became this tragic, repeating narrative.
It's a tough reality to face, isn't it?
Okay.
Across 3 seasons, 2023, 2024, 2025, global esports never qualified for playoffs. From a purely results perspective, it's easy to look at those stats and feel, well, a profound sense of disappointment. Maybe even conclude the venture was a failure. So you, our listener, might rightly be asking, why is this story still so important? Why is their journey still considered meaningful, impactful, even inspiring, despite the on-paper struggles, despite no deep playoff runs? It feels almost contradictory, doesn't it?
Yeah. It absolutely does feel like a paradox. And that's where the real depth of this story lies, I think. If we connect this to the bigger picture, GE's journey just illuminates how incredibly unforgiving franchising can be, especially for new entrants from emerging regions. Their story isn't just about losing games. It's a living, breathing case study in the specific, tangible, often systemic challenges they faced. We're talking about the relentless visa issues, logistical nightmares that just wreak havoc on team synergy,
Yeah.
the constant roster shuffles preventing a stable identity, the inherent communication hurdles, all stuff that consistently stopped them finding that deep, intuitive stability crucial for any championship team. These weren't just performance issues solvable by better aim. They were foundational systemic obstacles. They speak to the immense operational complexities of global esports. Their struggle is a powerful lesson for any aspiring org.
And yet their journey, for all its difficulties, is still incredibly meaningful. This is where the narrative kind of pivots, isn't it? How can a team that hasn't made playoffs, hasn't hoisted a trophy, how can they still be considered so impactful, so pivotal for an entire region? What kind of legacy is that if it's not built on wins?
It absolutely is a pivot to a different kind of legacy, a really important one. Global esports broke barriers in a way that tangible results alone just can't define. They were more than just a team competing. They carried the hopes of South Asia into a global league. Their journey proved, unequivocally, that representation itself matters. Profoundly so. Even without the playoff runs, they carved out a space. They made their presence felt. They fundamentally shifted the perception of what was possible for the region. Imagine the visibility they brought. Every match they played, every stream they were featured in, put South Asian esports in front of millions of new eyes globally. And that isn't just a feel-good factor. It has tangible, even if indirect, effects. They've inspired a new generation of Indian players who now see franchising as a dream worth chasing.
Yeah.
A concrete goal that was once just an abstract fantasy, that kind of inspiration, that barrier breaking. It fuels player participation, attracts investment locally, encourages better infrastructure, fosters a sense of belief that can take years, decades to build. Their struggle became a kind of crucible, forging a new path for others to follow.
So to summarize Global Esports Complex, often challenging journey then, here's a team that has truly struggled with on-paper results. Never qualified for playoffs across 3 seasons in VCT Pacific, but simultaneously they're an organization that has undeniably made history, etched their name into the foundational narrative of Valorant esports. They put India firmly on Valorant's franchise map, creating a mark that goes far, far beyond their win-loss record. They showed up, they struggled, but they stayed. And that in itself is a profound statement, really.
Their legacy is a fascinating and evolving one, isn't it? It really leaves us with a provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider. Can global esports, having laid this incredible groundwork of representation and inspiration, can they leverage that into tangible competitive results in the seasons ahead? Or is their most profound, their lasting legacy already cemented simply by paving the way, by being the first, by opening that door for an entire region? What does their story truly tell us about the long, long journey of building sustainable global esports success, especially from new frontiers? And where does that balance lie between breaking barriers and actually winning titles?
Powerful questions for a truly impactful, albeit challenging story. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into global esports. We hope this has given you a fresh perspective on what it means to compete, to struggle, and ultimately to inspire on the global stage. We'll catch you next time.